Hello, violins and violas. We're going to talk about the Lydian hand shape. So the big difference between this one and the other ones is that you have this low first finger to get to that E flat. Then there's a whole step spacing between all of your fingers. And when you're just going from one finger to the other, 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 4, that's not going to feel much different. I mean, it's not a huge stretch. It doesn't feel like it when you have one after the other. But when you are doing a whole scale of them and you're feeling all four of your fingers spaced out this way, it will feel much more stretched than you're used to with the other hand shapes, okay? Especially when you start skipping between 1 to 3, 2 to 4. This is going to feel like a big stretch in order to get these notes in tune. So again, we're going to start with our scale. We're going to talk about just some of the things to think about, some of the ways to feel this, and then we'll go on to the scale in thirds. We'll stop, we'll let you practice, we'll go on to the scale in thirds, talk about some of the things to think about there, and then stop, let you practice, and then we'll go back and run the whole thing together. So first thing you want to think about when you are doing this, I want you to watch what happens with my first finger. When you go to this low one, you've got this square shape with your knuckle here. When you go to a low one, you want to bring that finger back. Notice how my thumb stayed in put. My thumb didn't slide back. I didn't slide the whole hand back. My thumb stays put where it's comfortable. I'm actually condensing that finger and crunching, like squishing that square. That box that you form with your first finger, I'm squishing it to get that hand shape. My thumb stays in place. So we're going to start with that. So making sure you're halfway between the nut and the tape, first tape. And then for this one, you're just wanting to go through the intervals, 1 to 2, practice this feeling. Then 2 to 3. And then 3 to 4. It's a big space. By the time I get to 4, I'm feeling a big stretch. The other thing that's a little bit more challenging about this hand shape is it almost sounds like it's going to be a major scale, and then we throw that fourth finger in, and it's going to sound very out of tune. So here's what it sounds like. It's that sound of that raised fourth note of the scale that sounds a little odd to our ears. So just know that it's supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to be a nice stretch and a nice high note. So what I would suggest is going through, practicing each interval, 1 to 2, practice that over and over, practice 2 to 3, over and over, practice 3 to 4 while you're keeping your hand in that position, feeling that big stretch and just getting used to the sound and the feel of that stretch. And then work it through on the A string note as well. So it has a very odd sound to it, so just get used to that sound. I would like for you to practice, pause the video, and practice this chunk, really feeling each interval, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, that kind of thing. Pause the video now. All right, now we're back. We're going to start talking about our thirds, scale in thirds. This one is just full of big spaces. 1 to 3 is a big stretch. In order to get that slow 1 to 3, it's going to feel like a big stretch. It's actually bigger than this stretch here. It's bigger than that E to G sharp stretch because you're starting a little farther down the scale. It's a pretty big stretch to get to that, even though you're on the tapes. So I'd spend some time working that 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3 until you get it consistently placing your third finger in time. And then start doing the 2 to 4 with your first finger still in position. You can use your open string to check that. And in the 1 to 3, you can use that lower string to check that, your open G string. So practice 1 to 3, 2 to 4, and then you're also going to need to practice this 3 to low 1. Getting a feel for what it feels like to have that low 1 and a string crossing. So I want you to take a second and just practice those intervals, 1 to 3, then 2 to 4, then 3 to 1, and then do it all the way up. And the whole time you're thinking about making sure that you're in tune with each of the notes. Okay, so take a second and just practice those intervals. Don't just run through it. Practice that one over and over and over again until you get it. Then this one over and over and over until you get it. Then this one over and over and over until you get it. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right, we are going to go ahead and run through the whole thing in half notes. Run it along with me. We're really focusing on intonation, making sure our notes are in tune, making sure we're getting spaced out. We're going to feel, the name of the game is just stretching out. It's going to feel very stretched and open. So make sure your fingers are feeling very stretched and open. Here we go. 1, 2, ready and go. That is the Lydian Handshape.